I'm Chris Glover. We begin tonight in Hamilton, where a family is speaking out after their loved one was shot by police. 43-year-old Erickson Cabrera's family says he was shot 4 times and died in hospital on Sunday. His death has prompted an investigation by the province's police watchdog. Brittany Billette has our top story.
Erickson Cabrera, a father of 3, was shot and killed by Hamilton police this weekend. He arrived in Canada over 20 years ago from Rwanda. His wife, Lydia Nabesho, says her family is devastated.
I saw him at the hospital. I saw him they killed him like an animal. One of the memories that I have that I think I don't even know how I'm going to live with this.
In a news release, Ontario's police watchdog said officers were called to an apartment building around 5 p.m. Saturday. In an email, Hamilton police told CBC that a resident reported there was a male at the door believed to be in possession of a handgun. Initially, Hamilton police said the man shot at police and gunfire was exchanged. They haven't confirmed whether that person was Cabrera, but his family says that's how they found out what happened to him.
My son, I found him with the tweet. He's like, Dad had a gun? Like, that shot the police officer? There's no way. That's like the first impression. So when we received first, that's a post that came with a lot of shame.
Hamilton police say an officer was treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Cabrera was sent to hospital in life-threatening condition. Hours later, he died from his injuries. On Sunday, SIU said based on more information, it did not appear that the man discharged a firearm.
Having the new update with the special investigation contradicting what they say, now we are very angry in a way that we cannot describe.
Nabesho says her husband wasn't the type of person to have a gun. She says Cabrera was a dedicated community leader who even had a professional relationship with the police through his work. Hamilton police did not confirm that.
One of the conversations often our president used to say in those events was, we are learning how to be safe around you by connecting with you. But now they're killing him. That's no longer a message anymore. We can't reverse that anymore.
Now Nabesho and loved ones are searching for answers.
For us, the community, his extended family, we want to know. We want to know because this is a shock, as I said. It was a shock when they told us he had a gun. We need clarity. We need people to be held responsible.
In an email to CBC, the SIU said it created the first news release based on preliminary details, but as more details came to light, it was transparent in making an update. 6 SIU investigators and 2 forensic investigators are looking into what happened. Brittany Billette, CBC News, Hamilton.
Meanwhile, 2 heritage buildings in Hamilton partially collapsed this morning. The pile of debris and rubble spilling over onto the sidewalk and damaging a neighboring building as well. But no injuries were reported. The buildings from the 1980s from the 1800s were originally set to be demolished in 2013, but heritage advocates saved them, and since they've been boarded up and fenced off. Today, firefighters and the city's building department were on scene assessing the damage to come up with a plan to fully demolish the collapsed buildings, and the mayor is now committing to a review of other vacant buildings in the city. Today was a day of somber reflection for many. Remembrance Day events honoring Canada's veterans were all over the place, with some of Ontario's biggest ceremonies being held right here in Toronto. And as time marches on, some say it's more about teaching the next generation about why we remember. Lane Harrison has more.
Toronto's Remembrance Day began with a sunrise observance at Prospect Cemetery, the final resting place for 5,300 Canadian soldiers and allies, some in attendance reflecting on how the day has changed as the world wars fade farther into the past.
When I was a kid, we were fortunate enough to have veterans come to our schools. They were still able to do so, and now, there aren't that many left with us, and many aren't able to make it out. So I do think it's important, for us to be in those schools, sharing those stories, certainly for the younger generation, so that they know that very important part of our history.
At Old City Hall, the city held its annual Remembrance Day ceremony, which included a flyover by aircraft used to train Canadian pilots during the Second World War, and the laying of a wreath by the mother of a 25-year-old Torontonian killed in Afghanistan.
Our city is filled with echoes of those who served across generations. Woven into Canada's history and Toronto landscapes, they are a testament to the bravery, duty, and dedication of our service members.
This year marks several anniversaries. It's been 10 years since Canada's mission in Afghanistan ended, 80 years since D-Day, and 100 years since the formation of the Royal Canadian Air Force. Some in attendance at Old City Hall were there to ensure the weight of the day is passed to another generation, like Sophie Grossi, who brought her grandkids, Mateo and Mia.
I thought that it would be a great opportunity for us to show our grandchildren what Remembrance Day was about. My parents were in the war, and it's very emotional. Actually, I lost my grandfather in a war, so I thought it was something good to do, to show them. And they're at a good age to understand.
Standing below the cenotaph that has commemorated the dead for nearly a century, the kids were able to take in the day's message.
I would learn more about all the soldiers in the war. It's very important.
Lane Harrison, CBC News, Toronto.
Out of respect for Remembrance Day, striking workers in Brampton paused their strike action today. The work stoppage began last Thursday with around 1,200 city employees seeking a pay increase and better health benefits. The strike has caused disruptions to bus service in Brampton, and the city's mayor is pushing back. Tyler Cheese has that story.
Brampton Transit bus service was running as usual for Remembrance Day, but riders are frustrated with the disruptions they've experienced over the past few days.
I lost three shifts last week. So, and as a caregiver, you know what it means to me. It affects me all around.
It's $20 from my place up to my work. It's hard because, my salary is just only a few, and then you're gonna pay for $20 in the taxi for the fare.
Last Thursday, some Brampton City employees went on strike, picketing outside transit hubs, even though bus operators are not among the striking workers. The workers do include employees responsible for public transit, as well as those in parks and recreation, road maintenance, and other services. On Saturday, some bus service was allowed by the union.
We've relaxed the picket lines 2 nights in a row and have absolutely no pickets today.
Brampton's mayor says limited service is unacceptable, and he's prepared to take legal action if disruptions continue when the strike resumes Tuesday.
If QP decides to blockade our transit facilities again this week, then the city will seek an injunction. Our transit operators are not on strike. They have been lined up every day to go into work, but there's been a picket line that's prevented them from working.
QP's president says decisions are made on a day-by-day basis, and he isn't sure if picket lines will return to transit facilities. Instead, his focus is getting back to the bargaining table.
Our goal is to get a deal done and get the workers back to work, to provide great public services to the great residents of Brampton, and that's the best way to avoid any disruption or delay.
Mayor Brown echoes those sentiments, but thinks the union should accept the deal currently on the table.
We have a very fair offer that matches every detail of the Mississauga QP agreement. So if it's good enough for QP and Mississauga and they just signed that deal, we hope that QP and Brampton can sign the same deal.
But for now, the two sides are at an impasse, with the union saying it's made multiple requests to return to negotiations with no response from the city. Tyler Cheese, CBC News, Brampton.
In Toronto, the rollout for the redesigned vacant home tax has begun. Nearly 60,000 people have already filed their paperwork for it, but the launch has not been as smooth as some councillors had hoped. City Hall reporter Sean Jeffords explains why.
Maybe you've seen this envelope in your mail. The city's hoping that eye-popping shade of yellow makes it hard to ignore. After the first full week of the 2025 vacant home tax rollout, tens of thousands of city homeowners have already made their declaration, compared to just 2,000 people over the same period last year.
We really did take the feedback we got from last year's process to heart and tried to simplify it as much as possible.
The tax was created as a tool to fight the housing crisis, to incentivize people to sell a vacant home or rent it. But last year, more than 160,000 complaints were filed after people were wrongly charged a fee for not completing the declaration. That prompted City Council to order a redesign of the whole program. This year's rollout hasn't been flawless. A problem with the city's website meant it couldn't accept submissions just days after it soft launched the declaration period.
We were ready, and we are ready. And as I mentioned, we did have a global issue that affected a lot of our shared services on our portal, and that's where we saw the performance.
A suite of city services were affected by the problem. Now, it only lasted 2 to 3 hours, but that was long enough to prompt dozens of complaints to some city councillors. And they say it shows how nervous people are with the entire rollout process and the pressure on the city to get it right this year.
There's a lot of people that have anxiety about the vacant home tax, and certainly the rollout last year was a total fiasco. And so despite all of the consultation and the promises and the millions of dollars spent to collect more of your tax dollars, the flub on the beginning of the week here does not inspire a lot of confidence.
Councillor Diane Sachs had just sent out a newsletter reminding residents to make their declaration.
And I promised them it would be much easier this year. So 4 hours later, I saw an email from a couple of constituents saying, I just tried it and it doesn't work. I thought, oh, God.
Mayor Olivia Chow is urging patience.
I have faith that it will work out. People make mistakes, right? No one is 100% perfect. Let's be kind. Let's give it a bit of a briefing room, but let's now just register.
This city spokesperson is asking anyone who had trouble with the web portal last week to give it another try.
I would tell homeowners, get it done, get it off your to-do list, and then you don't have to think about it until next year.
The last day to make a declaration is April 30th, 2025. Sean Jefford, CBC News, Toronto.
So taxes is one, but another issue a lot of people in our city often complain about is transit. Some take issue with the service levels, while others have complained fare hikes have made it too expensive. But in one Ontario town, ridership doubled after transit became free. Anis Haydari has the story from Orangeville.
It's fairly easy to grab the bus in Orangeville, Ontario.
And no monthly pass, no tickets, no cash to pay for your fare pass that you have to pay in other cities.
It's free for everyone.
This is my way to get around back and forth to appointments, to my kids' school.
In 2022, around 100,000 people took the bus there. This year, they're projecting more than 260,000. Politicians were aiming for more than just convenience.
We knew that by offering fare-free transit, we could have an environmental positive impact, taking more vehicles off the road and offering a better option for our residents. But also we knew that there was a really strong social equity piece from a financial perspective.
Orangeville is testing this idea until 2027, and the mayor says it's catching on elsewhere.
I get real interest from municipalities of all sizes, from small rural to small urban like we are, right to big cities.
And the idea has made inroads in some big U.S. cities, like Kansas City, Albuquerque, and Tucson. But in Canada, this transit expert says don't expect a free ride.
It has a place, an opportunity for smaller and maybe medium-sized communities. For larger communities, such as Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, it's going to be an uphill climb.
Big cities need the money that transit fare brings in. Smaller towns can offer residents free rides, not just Orangeville, but Banff and Canmore, Alberta, too. Though larger cities have to choose who gets a discount.
Here in Calgary, that targeting costs governments more than $6 million. It's meant to help younger people, seniors, and those with lower incomes.
Tailoring transit discounts to specific people matches other policies in Canada, like income support or taxes.
You'd want to make it free for everyone. It's very costly. So what do? You target certain demographic that you deemed more important. So I think it's an important first step.
But it's more than a first step back in Orangeville, where the project is expanding to a nearby town. Anis Hidari, CBC News, Calgary.
Welcome back. Scotiabank Arena is opening its doors in a whole new way. Starting tomorrow, fans can buy tickets to tour the quarter-century-old multi-use venue, including exclusive looks inside player dressing rooms. Dale Manukduk has a preview.
We're going on a guided tour of Scotiabank Arena. We're going to get to see some of the players' dressing rooms, both the Leafs and the Raptors, the behind-the-scenes concert areas. It's going to be super cool. Come with me.
This is the main home for the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Toronto Raptors, and of course many live performers.
The arena first opened in 1999 as the Air Canada Centre with a Leafs win, Raptors win, and Tragically Hip concert on back-to-back days. And there's plenty more fun facts where that came from on the tour.
I want you to also notice the color-coded seats. That's a nod to Maple Leaf Gardens. It's pretty unique to this venue. At Maple Leaf Gardens, the best seats in the house were gold. So it went gold, red, green, gray, and blue at the ends.
We got to go to the broadcast area, this cool hallway with original art, super exclusive members-only areas that are part of the $365 million venue renovation. And then there's the really cool stuff.
Here we are on the Leafs bench, which is pretty cool. I'd like to get the full experience and smash the boards with a hockey stick, but I don't. But I do have this handy tripod, so let's... Come on, ref! That feels good. Feels good. Feels real. So this is pretty cool. We're inside the Raptors dressing room where obviously all the players have their lockers. You can see Canadian Kelly Olynyk over here has his dressing locker. And then this locker over here, this one used to belong to Kawhi Leonard. On the other side where the tour is taking place, where Mitchell's locker is, that used to be the GOAT, Kyle Lowry, the greatest rapper of all time. That used to be his locker right over there. We're here, the Holy Grail, Maple Leafs dressing room. Here's what we learned so far. The captains sit in the middle of the dressing room. So you have Mitch Marner, John Tavares, Big Papi, Austin Matthews there on one side, Morgan Riley on the other. I could tell you, I can confirm that the Maple Leafs dressing room does not smell like champagne, unlike the Toronto Raptors, which still has a little bit of that sweetness. I can tell you another fun fact about this place. This is the only dressing room that a celebrity gets to use, and that celebrity, Justin Bieber. He's the only one who gets to use the Maple Leafs dressing room as his own personal dressing room whenever he plays the arena.
Really to open our doors and provide access to fans. I think we have some really iconic brands, a really iconic venue, and not everybody gets to come in here. So it was important for us to offer up another opportunity to get our fans in the building and get them to see the iconic spaces and the brands and artists that they love. And that's part of the magic of it. It is you're not just coming and seeing the spaces, but you're learning about the teams. You're learning interesting facts, interesting quirks, and fun and entertaining stories that have happened within these walls over the last 25 years.
Tickets are available online. They're released on a 3-week advance schedule with new slots opening up every single week. If you want to come on one of these adventures, it'll cost you $30 a pop for adults or $25 each for seniors or children under the age of 18. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
All right, let's talk a little football now because the Toronto Argonauts are headed to the Grey Cup. The Argos defeated defending champs, the Montreal Alouettes, on the weekend. But here's the catch. The team will play for the Cup without starting quarterback Chad Kelly. Kelly was taken off the field on a stretcher after breaking his ankle late in the game's third quarter. The Argos will take on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for the Grey Cup on November 17th in Vancouver. Canadian soccer legend Christine Sinclair played her final professional game yesterday. She took to the pitch for the Portland Thorns of the National Women's Soccer League and was replaced by a substitute in the 64th minute.
And Christine Sinclair can only watch, subbed out of this match, the final of her incredible career.
In a big jacket, watching from the sidelines as her team lost their first round playoff match 2-1. Sinclair played 12 seasons and won 3 league titles with Portland. She also holds the record for most career international goals among men and women with 190. Sinclair led Canada to gold at the 2021 Tokyo Olympics, along with bronze medals at the 2012 and 2016 Summer Games. She is the co-owner of the Vancouver Rise, a professional women's soccer club that'll compete in the Northern Super League next season. Time now for a check on weather with Chris Potter. And Chris, the afternoon, there was quite a lot of rain that we had to deal with. Is that out of the picture now in the days ahead?
Out of the picture.
Okay.
And even the next opportunity that we have for rainfall, or at least some wet weather, would be Thursday. And right now, it's a very slim chance, at least in the GTA, higher risk to the southwest. So it looks like it will be dry tonight, dry tomorrow, lots of sunshine, but it's going to be noticeably cooler. And that's going to be the story.
I'm already feeling it.
Yeah, winds have changed. Northerly winds are already starting to take shape. We experienced wind gusts upwards of 55 kilometers an hour a little bit earlier today. Of course, we had showers during the afternoon, that quick little burst of rain, and there was even a few embedded thunderstorms as well as our cold front moved through. Behind a cold front, like its name suggests, we are going to cool off. Normal daytime high for this time of year is below 10 degrees. It's at around 8 degrees. 18.4 is the record. And today we peaked at around 12. So it was still comfortable, but there was kind of a chill in the air thanks to the high humidity. It was damp, it was drizzly, and of course we had some rainfall move on through. And there was even some snowfall in areas through northeastern Ontario, northwestern Quebec. For us, it's about showers, possibly affecting the southern shores of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay as those northerly winds are still quite breezy. That's going to be the story early tomorrow morning. Bright but fresh, cool start to the day. Lots of sunshine for the afternoon. High pressure continues to wander on through. If only high pressure would stick around through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Unfortunately, that's not the case. It moseys off towards the east. Next system will be moving in through the upper Midwest, and it will kind of stall across lower Michigan instead of advancing into southern Ontario. So at this point, it looks more likely that the rainfall associated with this feature, like I said before, will be southwestern Ontario. But of course, there is that chance for at least some showers. But right now, it's like a 30 or 40% chance. Winds coming in from the north through the overnight, and they will still be gusting to around 40 kilometers an hour, 30 kilometers an hour in the wind gusts for tomorrow morning, and with temperatures dropping down towards 1 for the overnight. Obviously, that means that it will feel below 0 because of that wind chill. So plan that accordingly in terms of what you're dressing your kids up as. Kind of a winter-like champ, I would say that. My son's going in full winter gear because he complains about the cold every day. 6 degrees for you tomorrow afternoon, 9 degrees through Windsor and Chatham. And like I said, it's a beautiful sunny day, but it's slightly below normal temperature-wise. 7 for your high on Wednesday. I think that's the best we're going to do. For Thursday, we'll approach 10. If the showers do move in, we'll likely hold near 9. If they actually hold back, we could get up to 11. Not that that makes a huge difference, but it can. 10 degrees for you on Friday will become mostly sunny, and lots of sun for Saturday with a high near 12. Looks like Saturday could be another day where I might go golfing.
Oh my goodness, like your son, I also complain about the cold, so I'm happy when you mentioned the snowfall that was far to the north, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't look like snow is in the forecast for at least, I would say, the rest of November.
All right, well, here's hoping. Thank you for joining us. Have a great night. We'll see you later.